Samantha and I sat there in front of the shop counter for a while. It must have been a few hours because the sun was beginning to set. We didn't have a plan. As far as we knew, outside was instant death. I genuinely wondered why I was in this situation. I didn't want the office to be my tomb, but at the same time, I felt bad for just leaving Lewis, Ben, and Megan without saying anything. I felt like I was just along for the ride. I didn't have my own plan or people to meet up with. Everyone else did. Kathy had her 2 daughters to save. As much as Samantha and I disagreed with her methods. And Samantha, she had a dog. It's not much in the grand scheme of things, but pets are still family. I got curious. What type of dog is it? I asked. What? Your dog? The one you have at home. What breed is it? Oh, it's a weird mix. I don't even think the breed has a name. He looks like a weird German shepherd, but smaller. What's his name? His name's Fred. I'm sure he's freaking out right now. I was supposed to be home ages ago. Well, it was an objective. Not quite as noble as saving some kids, but it was still something to strive for. We eventually got hungry and started to snack on some of the food around the shop. There was no sign of the old guy that ran the place, so it was open season on the bags of crisps. Of course, Samantha asked if the shop sold vapes, and I pointed her towards the back wall behind the counter. On her way around, she slipped on something and had to grab the nearby shelf to stop herself from falling. She looked down to see what caused the slip. She went pale. Andrew, her tone sounded like when an arachnophobe sees a spider in the bath. I jumped to my feet and took a look around the counter. On the floor was a large pool of smeared blood. The blood trailed off to the back of the shop. I began to follow it while Samantha was hunched over trying not to vomit. I slowly followed the blood trail along the length of the shop. The further it went, I felt myself starting to panic. I didn't consider what could be at the end of this trail, and the thought of every possibility began to scare me. What would I find? There was only one to find out. The trail ended. It went underneath a door labeled Employees Only. The door was slightly ajar, and with every fiber of my being telling me not to proceed, I put my hand to the blood-stained door and gently pushed it open. In the middle of the musty employee bathroom, standing with his back to me, was the old man. He stood there facing the wall with his head lowered. He was covered in blood from a large wound on his neck. I froze. I didn't know what to do. The old man began to slowly turn around. Eventually, we both stood there looking at each other. His eyes were enveloped in the same cloudy white color as the others. As he raised his head and began to make that guttural scream that made my blood run cold, I reached into my waistband and raised the gun I took from Leslie's office. I clicked off the safety, and with the loudest crack I'd ever heard in my life, the old man's gray matter painted the rear bathroom wall. I had never seen anyone slump over like that before. He didn't fly back dramatically like you see in the movies. It was like a switch got flipped and he just shut down, straight down to the ground. My ears were ringing. It took a while for me to be able to hear Samantha standing at the bathroom door behind me freaking out. Eventually, I could hear her swearing at me about the gun and not giving her a warning about the loud bang. What the fuck, Andrew? Do you just carry a gun with you to work? No. She wouldn't let me finish. That's so weird, man. Where did you even get that? Leslie's office. It was on his desk. She took a second. Of course that knob had a fucking gun. She added. Who was that? The owner. I closed the bathroom door and put the pistol back in my waistband. It felt a bit better not having to hide it anymore. Yeah, I think he owned the place. He sold me some stuff this morning. Didn't think I would end up shooting him. Didn't think I would end up killing anyone ever. Zombies, holy shit, this is insane. I take a moment to calm myself down. After standing there for a bit and talking about how much we hated working for Leslie, we were eventually silenced by the sound buzzing. Loud buzzing. Actually, it was very loud. I head towards the rear door of the shop, open it, and look outside. The sky was full of helicopters. They were heading back and forth from somewhere in the distance. It didn't look too far away. Whatever it was important. It was a large, distant glow, further illuminated by floodlights from the ground and the helicopter spotlights. Then a voice echoed across the sky. To anyone who can hear this, make your way to Patton Memorial Park. The government has set up an emergency shelter and hospital. It began to repeat a few times. A switch went off in my brain. I had a plan. And for once in my life, it wasn't someone else's plan. I wanted to survive. I turned to Samantha. Listen, I know you want to get home to Fred, but I'm going to that shelter. You can come with me if you want, but I won't force you if you don't want to. Who's Fred? She asked, confused. I just looked at her. Your dog. She looked flustered and began fidgeting. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I don't have a dog. I figured I needed some excuse to go with you and Kathy. She had kids, and I assumed you had family or something, so I panicked and said I had a dog. I get it if you're a bit pissed off with me, but if you're going to that army place or whatever I want to go to. Honestly, I would have been annoyed if it didn't make this whole thing a lot easier. We had a goal, one that was visible over the tops of the houses and back alleys in front of us. We grabbed some supplies from the shop first. Flashlights, batteries, water, vapes, and a cheeky energy drink. We braced ourselves and left through the back door of the shop. I grabbed the pistol from my waistband and readied myself for the task ahead. I have never been this determined about anything in my life. We were getting to that fucking stadium.